Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Live Game Dev Intragalactic Noodle Delivery. Intergalactic, which we thought was going to be intergalactic, like the Beastie Boys song, and then I looked it up, and I'm like, no, intergalactic is between galaxies, intragalactic is within the galaxy, which is more appropriate for the Star Citizen universe. And so we're here with vehicle concept artist Sarah McCulloch. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
This time.
This is our third one of these, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
The second one of this type. We've been on the show twice before. The first time we created a ship concept from scratch using a bunch of various modular parts. That was the Anvil Overkill.
That's the one.
Anvil Overkill. Maybe we'll take a look at that before we get started. And then we had you on again to go through some of your process. You've moved on to making a lot of the more recent Crusader ships, like the Star Runner and stuff like that. We explored your work on that and the Carrack and stuff like that. Today we are going back to where we started, and we are going to create a ship, brand new using modular components. Tell us, you have determined what we're making today. I didn't pick for you. What have you decided that we're making?
I thought it would be cool to make a Crusader style delivery truck. I think it would be, it's quite in the fitting at the moment with what's with, like, we've just had the sale and things like that. So it would be nice to just have a bit of a concept with Crusader and see what we can come up with, and hopefully it'll be something fun and something that people will be like, oh, that's interesting.
Now, it's interesting. You didn't know this when you picked it, but back in April of 2016, if I remember correctly, one of our April Fool gags back then was Intergalactic food delivery, where we developed a Big Benny's Reliant. If I remember correctly, let me see if I can bring that up here before we get going here. So we'll switch to you, and we'll bring this over here. And you can still see this on our website now, guys. This was Intergalactic Food Delivery. This was our April 1st gag from 2016. You can see our Big Benny's themed Reliant that we did, and our Big Benny's delivery outfit that was done by the character team. We also have a menu of various Big Benny's items. And then, of course, we had a little video and stuff like that. But yeah, Intergalactic food delivery has been a career promise since April 1st, 2016. And today we make good on that a little bit. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen, Sarah, and we'll get started.
Yeah. So this was what we did, wasn't it? Like. It was a few months ago, which we did the Anvil Overkill, and you guys picked all the pieces for it, and this is what we came up with, and it was just like more weapons, more guns, bigger engines, and
it was definitely overkill.
It was definitely the overkill, yeah, and it was a lot of fun. So I thought we could just continue to do that with,
but now with Crusader parts.
Yeah, with some Crusader stuff that I just whipped up, and I thought it'd be pretty cool if you guys can suggest certain sections again, and we can in fact make a few of them. We don't have to just make the one, we can make a couple, which I thought would be pretty cool, and can start with say
cool.
This one. Or
well, whatever. why don't we start by getting rid of my picture in the corner? Just drag me off your screen there. People don't need to see me here. Hi, bye.
Hi.
And then I'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just start with a basic one for now. So I quite like this shape, so we'll just pick him for now, and we'll just pop him over here, and then we'll just start to build them up a little bit. And this is kind of what I do already for my concept process. Is I'll just make a series of little shapes, and start to build it up and start to just add little details, and it just kind of adds to it's it feeling a bit solid, and I can start to see little bits and just adding detail, and because Crusader is quite it's quite clean and soft, so you don't want to add too many panel lines and things like that, but you just want to make sure that you've got the flow right. By adding these certain things, and that's one thing about Crusader as well as the visibility. So I always like to add, a little bit of extra visibility. So this would be quite cool, where you've got like quite a large cockpit, and like on the Mercury where you've got the double glass effect, where you could potentially walk on this section here, and then have like a really nice like sort of drop down, and you can see what's below you, which would be cool, I think.
Now I have to say, all of our different manufacturers have style guides and things that are signature to them. You've been working a lot with Crusader recently. That's why we're working here with Crusader today. Have you considered adding more struts? Could you just like try adding 6 or 7 struts for me?
No, sorry.
No?
I don't want. No. I if anything, less, and we could could even add maybe like something above as well. So you've got like this whole vista. I'm all about more glass. You can even add like stuff like another panel here and have like a proper cool visibility. But
make sure our delivery driver can absolutely see where they're going.
Yeah, look, this is precious cargo. If you're not delivering your cargo, you're crashing into everything, then it's terrible design on my part. So it's like I want to make sure that you can get to where you're going, and deliver what you need to deliver without bumping into stuff that you never know what you're going to encounter in space, do you? So it's as a designer, I want to make sure that you can have pure visibility. And as I say, it would be cool because as I say, your cockpit can essentially could potentially float over there, and you could sit here and you can see, and that's what I'm all about.
Eventually, you're going to end up with a ship made entirely of glass.
What, is it Wonder Woman? Not Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the invisible jet.
It is Wonder Woman. Yeah, that's
jet.
it, isn't it? And she's just sat there, just flying, just randomly through the clouds, which always looked a bit odd, I thought. And like these midsections as well are like attachments, so it's like I'll just attach this midsection, just to help bulk the boy out. So we'll just have to see. Yeah. That's another thing with Crusade. It's another thing about Crusade. It's got this hump that it has. So I just wanted to make sure that I followed its style language when I'm connecting these parts. And as I say, it's not too dissimilar to how I do very quick concepts.
Now, does the hump have any practical purpose, or is it just a stylistic choice?
It's a stylistic choice on my end, because when we first did the Crusader, we looked at the Genesis Starliner, and we wanted to keep some of its core shapes and things like that. So when we did the Star Lifter and the Star Runner, we kept some of its elements, and one of the elements was that it had like a hump on it, which we thought was pretty cool. So it kind of just transitions across all of the new ones that we've done, and it looks cool. It kind of adds to its silhouette, which is nice. But yeah, as I say,
we're all big fans of the Genesis Starliner here.
Yeah, I say
it's the official ship of Star Citizen Live. I just decided right now.
Should be. It's a cool ship. With this, now that it's got like its attachment sort of midsection, you can kind of go down here where the goodness is, and you've got your cargo, and then you can start to add your cargo to it, your precious Noodle cargo. So you can kind of be like, right, this is primarily delivering big batches of noodles.
So you've obviously done some work on this prior to the show here. You decided on external, some kind of external apparatus for the cargo containers?
Yeah, so this would be almost what I imagine mag plates to be. And like all your cargo container could like drop down like on hydraulic system and like pick them up and then pull them up. So it's like, you know, you don't have to, so that loading's a bit easier for you instead of, you know, like manually like loading it with like a crane or something like that. This thing can just come across, grab them and pull them back up to its surface, and then they can sit there and off you go with your you know, your precious noodle cargo containment and stuff. So that's my thinking anyway on this, is like, it's always, you know, how can I make people's lives easier when you know, when we're making this kind of thing, and mag plates definitely do it for me for this, because it's, you know, these can be quite big, really, containers. So
yeah, because thinking about it, it's, I mean, it would be easy enough to, you know, take something like a Star Lifter or whatever and just load it up with a bunch of internal, you know, shipping containers, you know, full of bennies. But if you're if you're trying to design something purpose built as a delivery vehicle, you know, where it clearly says this is for this purpose, kind of thing. Having this stuff on the exterior is probably one of the only ways to really communicate that.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like, it's just thinking about those, you know, those little things that, you know, really do like help with just the design and making it feel a bit more, you know, solid, rather than, you know, as you say, like loading things little by little. And I was actually, because I live by a farm, I was looking at all the hay stackers, and they've got like these big bars that go across, and it's all external. So I was thinking like maybe some sort of, like I say, this container, like some sort of grabber or some sort of magnetic plate would be pretty cool. And that's how I come up with this idea, because there's a lot of farmer machinery by mine, and that's how I get a lot of ref for a lot of this stuff.
I feel like I feel like maybe inadvertently or maybe intentionally, you'll have to tell me, there's some MISC influence here. This definitely looks like Crusader took a look at the Hull series and said, how could we make it better?
Yeah, that's it. Like, it is influenced by MISC, because, you know, because we do have the Hull. It's and which I think is like such an awesome idea to have all this, like, you know, this external cargo, and you can see it, and there's some of the shapes as well are really nice, and I like the you know, like the thrusters and things like that, the shapes of them and things, and you know what Crusader, like, they've been building ships for the longest time, so they're kind of like, you know, how can we make it, you know, bigger and better.
Well, you see it a lot in the real world too. Popular designs from one manufacturer tend to influence their competitions, like when the new like when the Dodge Charger came out. You know, the new Dodge Charger came out like 10 or 15 years ago now, and then you started seeing, you know, the Chevy redo the Camaro and Ford redo the Mustang, all in similar styles.
Yeah, that's it. It's like at one stage, wasn't it, the like cars changed from very like box shaped to bubbles, and now everyone seems to be like copying each other, like the front bits, and like Ford have done it recently with it. Is like that they're trying to copy, isn't it, the Aston Martin fronts, and
right.
You just see them like influencing each other, and it is kind of cool, because you get like a pretty much like a reasonable price car looking pretty sweet. And, you know, competition's healthy, I reckon. It's you know, drives things to look better and influence each other. So
there's a word for it. It's the zeitgeist. It's you know, common influence that affects multiple you know, different projects and ideas. And you see it when you see 3 volcano movies come out at the same time from 3 different studios and stuff like that. You know, these ideas that they take hold and influence multiple manufacturers across multiple industries.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? It's like you just see it, and as I say, like I said before, competition's good. It's healthy, so.
We're starting to see some questions from the chat, and again, if you are watching, if you have a question for Sarah, Sarah is our concept artist that is working on a Crusader Industries food delivery vehicle this week, just sort of hanging out for an hour, goofing off, having some fun. One of the important questions. This might be a question for design as opposed to a concept, but we're going to pose it to you anyway, Sarah.
Okay.
Hey, put your designer hat on for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Can the noodles be a form of heat sink to both keep the noodles warm and cool the ship components?
That's a very good question. I mean, have you seen those videos where like people have like sculpted toilets out of them and stuff, and like utilized them for just like making false nails out of them and things like that?
I don't think that's the same thing.
Well, as I said, I think at this point it's like they can be used for anything. And I think I would use it as, I could probably fashion it into some sort of heat sink. Like you'd open up your like your ship item, and instead of like a fuse,
all other like the ship power components would be on the exterior next to the crates so that they could keep the noodles warm. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's definitely definitely thinking with somebody's noodle.
First terrible joke. Noodle based joke. No.
Let's see.
Waiting for that to happen.
We do have a suggestion. Can the side have a holographic billboard or some advertising that says Big Benny's? Now, we do see Big Benny's on the side of the cargo containers, but maybe once we get to or she's going to jump into it right now, I guess.
Yeah, just do it now. Let's
do it now.
Okay. Let's see. Let's have a look. Maybe copies, because there we go. Okay. Right, hologram. Oh, let's go. Like, where do you think though? Like on the side or on the top, or like
just big and giant rotating on the top?
Yeah, like
super.
Like it actually
annoyingly.
I'll have to move the ship down actually, because it would be so big. It'd be like like it's clipping off the page. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Come on. Yeah, get rid of you. We want bigger and better. Right, okay. Yeah, fab. Nice. Massive. Way. Okay. So, and then you just make it like...
Exactly. Well, we need to put like a hollow shader on it and stuff. You don't have to do it here in the Photoshop, but yeah, like we go...
Like, I mean, you can kind of do it, but it's like you need to just do a slight adjustment and like whoa, like make it all funky, like, and then and then you'd have like a sort of like a light source or something underneath that would be like projecting the hologram, and you could be like, hey, look, Big Benny's is out to eat.
Yeah, and then of course the face on the cup would change different emojis.
Yeah. Like if you bumped into an asteroid, it'd be like, oh.
Yep. We tied into the ship status system, so if you're in like a yellow alert or red alert, it like changes to mean and angry.
Yeah, that's it. If you get an attack, so obviously you'd need like some sort of weapon like this. You can just like stick it on, and because as I say, you have to protect your precious cargo. I mean, it's like I'd be offended if you didn't have a good amount of weapon power or something, because it's such precious cargo. And as I say, with the Mercury, like you can see your weapon underneath, so it's like
just make it like one giant A10 Warthog style gun at the front.
Yeah,
because you don't want a delivery vehicle shouldn't have too much weaponry, but one just super reliable.
It should be like hidden like the A10 as well, shouldn't it? It's the whole length of the ship. Oh,
the Big Benny's
like let's just like going for it and stuff. But yeah, like that would be like a first example of like something that I would do, and then we've got a bit more hull type, and then we've got a couple of more different types of front ends. Might go with this one.
Question from the chat: what was your first concept for Star Citizen?
My first concept was a fire extinguisher, a sci-fi fire extinguisher that had to have different types of foam in it. So the fire extinguishers that you see around, I think it's like Port Olisar, are like mine from when I first started, like 6 years ago, when I was innocent and all, and just did fire extinguishers.
Did you hear that Star Citizen just had its first kill with a fire extinguisher? Yeah. If you haven't checked it out, guys, the community team ran a wonderful Theaters of War AMA on Spectrum this week. It's still up there. You can check out, see the answers from Sean Tracy and Johnny DeCivius and the rest, and some of the other TOW crew on there. And one of the data points they were able to reveal was through the new metrics, they discovered that somebody got a kill with a fire extinguisher in Theaters of War. In Theaters of War testing, they still have yet to figure out how, but they know it happened.
I'm so proud. It's like when I first made that, it was like I didn't think someone would be able to do that with, my fire extinguisher.
Yep. And if you don't want to go rummaging through the entire Spectrum thread, I think there's a com link that was posted this morning on the website that actually collects all the data in one nice, easy to read thing. So you can check that out too.
Oh, that's boss! I'm gonna have to check that, because I'm gonna have to see how it transpired, basically, because that's gonna be so cool to see.
What was your first ship concept for Star Citizen?
Mercury.
The Mercury.
Star Citizen. The Star Runner. The Mercury. Yeah, it was my very first one that I ever did. I'd worked on other ones, but just in terms of like pieces. So it was like parts of corridors or like engine rooms, like the Starfarer engine room. I did way back.
Right, you were assisting on other concepts for the first couple of years you were here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I dabbled in quite a lot before I'd started on the Star Runner. It was interesting because I kind of learnt from the ground up. Yeah. All the stuff that I needed to know, which was really cool, and it was fun.
It's interesting. I hadn't put that together. Your first ship you got to run on your own was a Crusader. My first ship promo that I got to run as the point person creating the whole promotional page and everything was for the Genesis Starliner, which was the first Crusader ship. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's why I like the Genesis Starliner so much. It was the first time the company let me go with a promo and say take the reins.
Yeah,
that's why when you go to if you find the old Genesis Starliner promo page, that's why it's a whole choose your own adventure thing about trying to get home to see your sick sister, and there's a bunch of spaceport audible noises and stuff like that. It was cool. I liked it.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. It was weird because obviously it was because it was the first one that I ever did. I was so nervous because it was there's always a part of you that's just like, oh, I hope it goes well. I hope it's received well, and it's just because it's like this artist thing, I guess, built into it. It's you're trying to make something that is good and people like, and as I say, it was just all my combination of stuff over the last couple of years into one thing.
All right, that is definitely Crusader just looking at Misk and going, anything you can do, we can do better.
Oh yeah, that's what Crusader about. I'd say I love Crusader, so I'm all about bigging it up, making it expanding it and making it better, and just adding to its family and stuff like that. So that's what I want. That's what I want to do.
Now, are you suggesting that one expands and collapses just like the whole series does?
Maybe. mean, I don't see why not. I think it would be fun. To do it. Or like I say, it's got like, it's got that section, and it also has like some sort of magnetic plate as well. So you've got like this, this double thing going on where you can have like extra cargo storage, or maybe if you're opening a store, you could grab some of these vending machines and things like that. I'll just shrink them down. Like you've got like a special delivery of like, just like little vending machines that you can stick to this.
So you've got the giant crates in the back for your mass market stuff, but then a specific module for the delivery of vending machines.
Yeah, that's it. So you've got like a all-in-one package. You've got like your shop stuff, and then you're basically set. And that's what Crusade are all about solving stuff, because I'll say they've been building ships for one of the longest times, so you'd think to be pretty good at it by now, right?
Well, I'm looking at this now, and one of my favorite aspects of the Star Citizen community is their penchant for repurposing things for intentions not originally designed. And I'm looking at your rack of vending machines, and I'm thinking about those prisoner pods that were included in the Cutlass Blue.
Yes!
And it's like you're sitting here, you're making a Noodle delivery truck, but you're inadvertently making a prisoner transport.
Yeah, you can just get rid of that. You can just like you can just get rid of that, couldn't you? And just put like a little prisoner pod in there and just be like, pick people up. That's perfect. I didn't even think of that. Oh no, what have I done? What is it with me and making stuff like this? Like I say, with on the Mercury, I did the venting underneath, and then people were like, "Oh, I can throw bodies underneath in the venting system," and I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, "I didn't even think of that." Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Klesk 3000 says this is how Benny's Henge got made. Actually, Benny's Henge got made by me sitting down with Luke Presley and hitting him with 40 terrible, terrible ideas, and him picking one that was the least terrible, he thought.
Benny's Henge turns out really, really good. I'd say it was great that it was like a little Easter egg that people went to and stuff, and that's what I love, is like Easter eggs in games, because they're always fun to go and find.
I've learned over the years that if you hit people with one or two ideas, it's easy to ignore them. But if you hit them with 40 or 50 ideas, then you saturate their brain.
Yeah, that's what you want, isn't it? And you get loads of ideas going, and you just think, I didn't even think of that. Like that, but that's what makes it so awesome. Is like all these people just join in and just make some crazy stuff up, which is what these for me, this stream is like all about. It's just about letting loose a little bit and going for it basically. And now I really wish I'd put a prisoner pod on that, because that's a great idea.
Now, do we need some kind of wings or something on this for atmospheric flight?
Yeah, we can do.
I mean, I don't know. I'm asking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you could stick some wings on. Back where would they go for this? Let's see. It's weird because it's on this type of angle. Trying to get it right is it's going to be a little bit tricky. Or actually, what I can do is I can add like this top fin section, so it's got a bit of guidance.
Here's a process question for you. We do a lot with this from the chat here. We do a lot of work on concepts. We showcase a lot of concepts on ISC and SCL and stuff. People buy art of books like Art of Star Wars or whatever. They're filled with concepts that never make it to screen. They never make it to production. What are some of the reasons why concepts get rejected or sent back for changes or just not used?
I suppose it's a few things. It's like sometimes when you do something, it doesn't look like what it's supposed to do. That's one reason as that, and it can be quite tricky to sometimes to nail a certain look. an aesthetic to a craft, especially when it doesn't look like it's job role. So sometimes you can go like, I know me, I get really excited, and like I make like a bunch sometimes that don't even look like it's roll, but it's like it looks cool. Mm-hmm. So I'll just pitch it anyway, and then it'll be like it looks a bit too off the mark of what we're looking for, sort of thing. But for me, it's kind of like a wild card. It's like it might be really good and be like, yeah, you know what, we can use that, or you might just be like, no, that's far too wacky. That's not gonna work for its purpose, sort of thing.
Right. The number of things that have been discovered through blue sky experimentation cannot be underestimated. You get a brief, and when I say you, I mean concept artists. But concept artists will get a brief, and trying to pull that image that only exists in somebody else's head out, and on the paper is hard enough. But sometimes there can be a lot of value in discovering the things you don't want along the path to finding the things you do want.
Yeah, that's it. It is a huge refinement process of just like exactly what you're after, and sometimes you don't really know what you're after until you do go a bit wide of the mark or are a bit wacky, because you kind of just have to get it out into the open, and just do it, because I think you feel better as well as an artist to just try and get these ideas out, because as you know, no one can see inside my head, so it's kind of just like, well, this is actually what I'm thinking when I'm concepting this, and hopefully like I say, my art director will be like, yeah, that's good, we like that, or no, it's a bit overzealous and it's a bit crazy, so it is a huge refinement process, and as I say, as you do it more, you do get better at doing it. Sort of thing. So,
and as Star Citizen development has proceeded over the years, concept artists have worked not just on the exterior of ships, but on the interior of ships as well, quite often.
Yeah, well, that's it, because we don't just do the exterior as well. We do everything, and that's also including like landing gears and things like that, and even design down to stuff like designing the toilets. It's like everything's really is accounted for, and so, as I say, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to say accounted for as best as you can at the time.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
There's always things discovered. Like once things start going into production, start getting built, things are always discovered that were never anticipated, or sometimes the metrics of the game have changed in the time that a concept is created. Like when a concept is created, it was believed that you'd need this much space to do this activity, and then when it comes time to build that ship, between the times we've learned you actually need this much space in order to do this. So that's one of the many reasons concepts can often change from between concept and implementation.
That's it.
For another question from the chat: what's the smallest detail that you've spent the most time on? What sent you down the rabbit hole?
I suppose it's like integration of, like, I know it sounds crazy, but like like thruster placements. Mm-hmm. It's kind of because you have to make sure that they look right on the craft, and as I say, on the Mercury, they'll kind of like built into like a certain way so that they don't interfere with the exterior of the ship too much. And I spent quite a considerable amount of time getting the correct placements of them so that it was, it didn't look like it interfered too much with the overall shape language, because when you start cutting into stuff, you kind of pull stuff away. So it was kind of just like making sure that the flow of the ship looked correct with exterior placements like thrusters and things like that. So yeah, it's little details like that, that you can spend an insane amount of time on, and even stuff like choosing the right destination for the toilet in the interior of a ship can take you quite some time, because you're just like, right, okay, don't want it to be too close to a bed, just in case you might hear things, that sort of stuff. Especially if it's like a multi-crew.
Fair enough.
Don't want space belly or whatever. So I always try and pick a good destination for the toilet out the way, away from everything.
Seeing a lot of mentions in chat about a docking ring.
Oh, I suppose this could have a docking ring, couldn't it? Like somewhere like here.
Well, we have to consider this if you're using the vending machines as a scale reference.
Yeah, it's like they would have to be like tiny, but we can make them smaller, and that's not a problem. If you just like double them up, really, like so instead of it being like that, you can have like double vending machine sort of thing. So
you just massively changed the scale of the ship in my head.
Yes, that's what I do. I'm just here. It's a shock. Yeah, we can just double these, and we can have a docking ring, and it would be really cool. And now, when we were talking about the prisoner pods, you're if you're a bounty hunter or whatever, you just massively increased your capacity to capture people. So
in changing the vending machine alone, you just made this go from a hull B to a hull D.
I love it. Yeah, that's what I want. More people, please. More bounty. It's fabulous.
You see how easy it is to make these ships get bigger, people? You see how easy it's done?
It's magic. That's what it is. So we could just have like an arm across as well, like a secure arm as well, when it's like they've secured them in place, and then just snaps back and keeps them, because you've got your precious prisoner cargo. Is of Big Bennies. In fact, that's what it could be. They could be prisoner pods disguised as Big Bennies, and you can get through customs.
Yeah, at this point, you've secretly made a giant prisoner transport from a penal colony, just disguised as a Big Benny's truck.
Isn't it?
Is what you've done at this point.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Well, maybe it did. Who knows?
The views and opinions of Sarah McCulloch do not represent those of Cloud Imperium Games, Robert Spangus Industries, or its subsidiaries.
I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. But I say, and then of course it has to have a gun on it, because you have to defend your 20 people, potentially even more people that you've captured in these disguised Big Benny's vendor machine pods. So, we can just pop them on there, can't we? And just happy days, really. Perfect. What we want. Yeah.
Sometimes these things get away from us.
We need to. I think I get, as I said, I get excited, and this is why my poor art director has to put up with is these crazy ideas that I come to him and be like, behold, crazy amounts of prison space, or noodle carrier, or something to this extent anyway. But as I say, I'm really digging that idea.
I feel like we need something on top in the center thing, just from a silhouette standpoint. We need something on top, maybe a top turret or something.
Yeah, we can put that just.
Or I don't know. Can we make it something Benny's themed, something Noodle themed? And we don't want it to look ridiculous, but
like this was a concept already.
We don't want to make it look ridiculous at this point. But yeah, I feel like the centerpiece, not a shark fin, but it needs something on top to make a more interesting silhouette. If I'm allowed to play art director while you're the artist.
Oh yeah, go. I think that's absolutely fine. I mean, we can try some sort of spine thing or something.
Or maybe it could be like a mounting of the actual bowl itself. It's like instead of the hologram, it could be like a giant physicalized version of the bowl on top or something.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Like, let's see what that would look like. Okie dokie. So
Yeah, without the logo or anything, without the
yeah,
text.
that's it. We can just remove the text and make it like a physical bowl looking thing. There we go. That's better. Okay, so we just get rid of all him. And then just.
And it has to be able to rotate 360 degrees like a. We're making a turret. We're making a turret that looks like the bowl.
It's like, okay, so it's like on there, and then we just get rid of this drop shadow that it has. Do you want to keep like the chopsticks as well?
Maybe maybe those are the barrels of the turret.
Oh, so should we flip it? There we go. Because you can make it like darker as well. And like I say, just get rid of this. And then just okay, so you can make it like just like darker, and like just make it like a Big Benny silhouette turret looking thing, and you know you're in trouble. It's like, oh dear, like this thing is coming at you. So it's like it just like shoots noodles at you, and
fireworks or something.
Fireworks, yeah, and like
it's a promotional fireworks launcher.
Yeah, something to that effect. Or you could just like leave it just slowly in the shadow. You know, it's just a slight silhouette of this happy face firing stuff at you into the abyss.
A timely question from the chat: does quote unquote far too wacky exist in CIG's vocabulary?
I think it's just because like I think it can be. I suppose it just depends really. I mean, this is probably what I would say far too wacky because we have a bowl shaped noodle firing turret thing. And as I say, a lot of the stuff is based in, a lot of real world stuff as well. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful of like just how wacky you go. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the time, as I say, I do come to, as I say, my poor art director with some crazy stuff, and because I like House of the Ordinary. It's just something that I tend to do just naturally anyway. So it's why I think making stuff like this is just it's my bread and butter. So I think you know what, you could actually make that spin and fire.
Yeah,
like,
that's one thing. You have to build a little recess for it so it can rotate 300, so it can rotate 180 degrees.
Yeah, like that's amazing.
Actually, if you recess it a little bit into the top, then it can actually like tilt and turn, and maybe it can get like a 280 degree firing arc.
You can totally do that. Like let's have a look in the depths.
There you go. It's like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Somebody's seen this thing exists. The Oscar Mayer Wienermobile exists in real life today, and if you don't think stuff's going to get crazier in 940 years, you're kidding yourself.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's like if you don't like things like there's some wacky stuff out there, like that have existed for like quite a long time, and this really is nothing new really. I guess it's just playing about and
Finn Rapsu says, is this why there's not so much flight-ready ships in the game? No, this is how Sarah, after hours in her private time, chooses to hang out and blow off a little steam with us on the weekend. So,
yeah, that's it. Like, I love doing this.
Thanks for watching.
With you guys and stuff. And I think, this is... I would have been doing this anyway in my spare time. So it's like it's nothing, crazy for me to do. It just means that you actually see what I do in my spare time now, embarrassingly creating crazy stuff like this. with a, I say it's just going to shoot like noodles out like psh, at someone.
I think I like that. Somebody in chat had the idea that it was a fireworks launcher, and I like the idea now that after Fleet Week, obviously now that we've seen that we have fireworks in the game. It would be like promotional fireworks, like fireworks that explode in the shape of the Big Benny's logo and stuff, like a big firework that explodes in the eat now.
That's perfect. Yeah, okay.
Do traveling advertisements.
Yeah, that'd be fab, wouldn't it? And like maybe you could, because of the size of this now, maybe it has like a little window in here where you can pull up and buy like noodles. Like Fifth Element, where it pulls up to your apartment, and you can buy like noodles. And
like an actual cart.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned. You mentioned Fifth Element. That actually goes all the way back to Blade Runner.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite films as well, Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And as I say, I do like the new one actually. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, you've made it this big anyway, so yeah, add a little food truck element to it.
Yeah, that's it. It's like you've got all your prisoners. You'd fancy something to eat. Like this hatch could open. And it could be,
You can't keep calling them prisoners, Sarah. That's the secret. That's the secret. That's the hidden purpose.
Yes, the noodle machine.
You're saying delivery. The quiet part out loud.
Yes, you can get your noodles delivered on this hatch. It might not be used for secret trade deals or about your cargo, but you can also buy noodles as well. But just with it being so big, I can imagine like you'd have like a little store as well, which you can, sell your noodles from, which would be quite cool. And people could pull up, buy the noodles or food or whatever, and go back into whatever they're doing really, which would be quite cool.
Another question from the chat: how long does it normally take to get a concept approved from start to finish? Is there a normal? Or is it dependent on the size and shape and purpose of the ship?
Yeah, it does depend on obviously size and shape. The smaller ones take a lot less. I suppose it takes about a week or two for the smaller ones, and then it can take about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that, maybe for the bigger ones. But just because there's so much to them. There's a lot that has to be accounted for, and then getting the feel of it right, because there's such huge silhouettes on the landscape and stuff like that. And as I say, it just does depend as well. It's just a refinement process, and sometimes you might not hit it straight away, and there's a backwards and forwards that does go between, but. To say it's this stage for me is one of my most enjoyable, because this is where I get to let my hair down and create crazy stuff, and not so crazy stuff really, quite simple stuff as well. Firework noodle machine ship,
prisoner transport.
Exactly right. It was weird actually when I was making all the pieces as well. Like I was looking at this chap. And I was thinking, actually, that looks like a cool little, like, just ship by itself sort of thing. And that doesn't even sell noodles, but I was just thinking it looks like that's the thing as well with different types of pieces. Sometimes you can, repurpose stuff like that, like, that you think, actually, that might make a cool ship. And, you kind of save these types of things for, like, later down the road. When you think that would actually be quite cool, to work off and stuff like that. It's, as I say, it's cool. It's a cool process that I do love to do.
Now, we're actually approaching the end of the stream. We still got about 10 minutes, so there's no need to rush. But okay. I want to start the conversation about the name of this.
Oh.
Now, Crusader ships have a particular naming a scheme. Crusader ships are always a compound name, so that they have the first, which is the actual name of the ship, the Genesis, the Mercury, the Hercules, and then there is the second part, which is the modifier. It's more about its intention. So, like, the Hercules star lifter, the Mercury star runner, the Genesis star liner. So, and with Hercules and Mercury and Genesis, they also tend to have roots in the fantastic stories of old, like the Roman gods and the Greek gods, and in Genesis the biblical gods. So let's figure out that first one. People are already saying the Star Noodler. And what I think we figured out the Star Noodler is its suffix. I think we got the suffix. So, assuming that the suffix is the Star Noodler, what is our prefix for this? What Roman or Greek god or mythic character are we naming this one over? The Hermes. Hermes is a good one. Was there a god of food in wine? I feel like there was.
I think there was, but he was like, wasn't it like, it was a
Bacchus?
bit like wasn't he like, it was like gluttony, wasn't it? Or
yeah. Well, Bacchus is the source of bacchanal as a word. Demeter, Ceres. Ceres seems in line.
It does, doesn't it? I like these though. The Star Noodler is like.
Yeah, I think we got the suffix right away. The chat was uniform in the suffix right off the bat.
Perfection straight away.
The Star Noodler.
Star Noodler. It's just fab. But I do like those suggestions. I think like the they do fit really well with it.
Yeah, Demeter and Ceres, the Greek and the Roman, was the goddess of grain, agriculture, harvest, growth, and nourishment.
Oh, that seems quite apt, really, doesn't it? That one, I think.
I think we got it. I think we got it in the Ceres Star Noodler.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. As I say, that's just perfect. As I say, I just for me, like this is what it's all about. Like I can sit on these and do this for hours because it's like it's just so much fun. Like I like the Star Noodler. Like that's made my day. That.
Well, I'm just excited.
Go on, sorry.
No, I'm excited when we email this to John Crew. Just because I like to see that vein in the top of his head bulge a little bit.
He's going to hate me. I did the anvil overkill, and then now I've done this. Shoots fireworks.
He had such a delightful reaction to the overkill.
He was just like,
no.
Just what have you done? And I'm just like, and now we just keep adding to his stress levels. I'm just like, I'm so sorry, John, if you hear this. I don't mean to. And then with the added secret elements of prisons or prisoners, it's just like, we're just this ever-evolving...
That's not the intentional purpose of the ship.
No.
It's not Crusader's fault if the advocacy tends to buy these and repurpose them.
But you know what, as well, speaking of that, is like the Mercury was supposed to just be like a data runner, and then it was like, well, if you're a smuggler, you do have secret compartments, and every ship that I seem to do for Crusader has this alternative purpose, and I feel really, really bad because I don't mean to do it. It just kind of pops out.
He just changed his status on Teams to Do Not Disturb. Maybe he is watching.
Oh no! Like that's because it maybe
I'm sure that's a
coincidence.
I'm sure that's a coincidence. I'm sure that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'd be like, so John, do not disturb. I'm not answering this question now. I'm already got stuff on, so leave me be. I say we just keep creating problems for him. It's stuff, feel bad, but it's so much fun.
Do you want to try pinging him?
Oh, do you want to? I'll say.
Let's see if this works.
See what he says. You just feel like, oh, what have you done? What are you two up to over there? And we're like, we're sorry, John. We didn't mean to do this, but us in the community have come up with something for you.
I mean, it is after hours, so.
That's true. Yeah, so you might not get back to you straight away. You might just be like, leave me alone. But we're up to no good. But it's what we do, right? It's what we're all about. Just have a bit of fun and create some crazy spaceships. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, he didn't pick up. He knows better.
Oh dear. As I say, he's gonna hate us. Because as I say, last time we gave him the envelope a kill, and we seem to be doing this more and more. But
Would you say that this ship feeds above its weight class?
I think so. I think it definitely feeds. It over delivers. I think it's like how many things can you stack on it? Lots. And it would just be like a load of noodles just getting dropped down, and you'd be like, "Oh my word, that's so many noodles!" But to be fair, I do actually really like it.
You took the fin away. You didn't like the fin?
Yeah, well, I suppose I can even with or without, but as I say, I kind of like just. I think with the noodle edition, with the fireworks,
sure.
I think that'll just be like. I think it's just like perfection.
No, I don't know. Chat's saying you ruined it now.
Did I? Oh, okay.
Yeah. You gotta have a spoiler. You gotta have the spoiler on it.
Back. Okay, it's got a spoiler. Okay, it's back. It's back. Sorry. I won't take it away. Just add a bit of definition. Okay. Oh, fabulous. Thank you, chat. I love this. This is just so much fun for me. It's just, I say, I've had a lot of fun, and I love doing these because, it's all practice as well for me. And
sometimes these things are just about taking an hour at the end of the week and blowing off some steam.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And especially for myself, it's just like this is just so wacky, and I get to have fun with the community and yourself, and it's the stuff that I would have just been doing here anyway. So I might as well do it with you guys, and we can come up with some crazy stuff. I think it'll just be just a lot of fun. But yeah.
For Riddick B. Richard, who's like crazy, no new content, I invite you to check out yesterday's Inside Star Citizen for our weekly new content there. It's available now on YouTube.
Yes. More stuff. Lots of stuff. Yeah, fab. And then obviously what I'd do is I'd just go in and add of course, just to add to scale, I'd probably just add a few little lights and stuff just to, so people don't bump into the Big Benny's noodles section, and it just helps with scale as well. Adding tinier little lights and stuff. That's what I find with these things, is especially since it went from quite small to hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of noodles in a space of a second. So.
Yeah, it looks like in the rear section there with the giant things, it looks like it's ready to just drop the noodles at a moment's notice. Like this, it's got a rapid noodle delivery system.
Yes, it's like a payload.
Yeah, it's like that's got to be its big selling point against the whole series. The whole series takes forever to unload. The Crusader series Star Noodler is designed to offload its payload in seconds.
That's it. That's what you want, right? You want your noodles delivered now. Within seconds, that's what you want. You just that's what you're after.
Yeah. The terrible drop noodle. Beware of drop noodles.
That's what we need, is some signage somewhere with that. Beware drop noodle or something. Somewhere here. Beware drop noodle. And it'd just be on the side of the ship, because it's it drops it as an instant. It's it doesn't even give you the warning. It's like just drop it, and then obviously you'd have more signage.
It's also appropriately above it where you can't possibly benefit from the warning.
You can't. You don't even see it.
We warned you.
Ridiculous. We warned you. You didn't see it. Tough. Oh, it's just perfect. It's just, it doesn't even give you the warning. No signal or anything. Just drops them.
Well, that's it, Sarah. We're out of time. Yeah.
What was that? Oh wow. Okay.
Let's give ourselves a nice look at our series Drop Noodler and Drop Noodler Mini.
Yep. We've got the small
or
with
Star
the
Noodler.
holograph.
Star Noodler.
Star Noodler. Yep. Mini, and we've got the big boy Star Noodler that drops payloads of noodles and shoots fireworks. Which I love.
All right, guys. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for taking time at the end of your week to hang out with us, goof off, have a little fun. I'm sure we could all use it for an hour. Folks watching at home, we are going to continue doing what we started a couple weeks ago. We are going to send the love over to a Star Citizen streamer who is streaming right now. Looks like today's raid is for Meyer. Meyer is a well-known commodity in the Star Citizen streaming community. He's been a volunteer for our major events like CitizenCon for a number of years. He's a good resource for folks looking to learn all about Star Citizen. So we'll go ahead and set up that host for Meyer now. I see it there, so you can opt to jump in there when you're ready and tell him Molly says hi. Molly from our community team is the one who set this up. So for Sarah, I'm Jared. This has been Star Citizen Live Game Dev, Intragalactic Noodle Delivery. This is the series Star Noodler. We'll be back next week, guys. Take care.
Take care. See you soon. Bye.